Welcome to our channel Crime Loom, the place where true crime stories come alive.
The man known as the man who collected trophies lived a life that seemed ordinary on the outside, but hid a chilling secret beneath. He grew up in a small town, one of those places where everyone knew everyone, where doors were never locked and children played freely in the streets. From a young age, he appeared to be a quiet, polite boy, always keeping to himself. Neighbors remembered him as polite, intelligent, and somewhat reserved, a person who never caused trouble and who often helped others. He attended school like any other child, got decent grades, and seemed to follow a normal path in life. But behind that calm demeanor, a dark fascination began to form. He was drawn to death and violence in a way that seemed unusual even to those who tried to understand him. It started small, with him collecting small objects, often from animals, trophies that gave him a sense of power and control. But as he grew older, the trophies he sought became far more sinister. He moved to a city as a young adult where he found work and tried to blend into society. He appeared ordinary with a steady job, modest apartment, and polite interactions with neighbors. No one would have suspected that behind closed doors, he nurtured a hidden obsession. The man's apartment was carefully organized. Among ordinary furniture and personal belongings, there were shelves, drawers, and boxes that contained his trophies. At first, these were small, personal items, things that symbolized his control over life and death. But soon, he craved more. He sought human victims to add to his collection. Each trophy was a mark of his twisted sense of achievement, a way for him to remember each crime as a personal victory. It was not just about killing. It was about possessing something that others would never see or understand. He felt a rush of excitement every time he thought about his next trophy. He meticulously planned his actions, ensuring that no one would suspect him. He was careful, calculating, and patient, traits that allowed him to avoid capture for a long time. He learned to manipulate those around him, using charm, kindness, and intelligence to hide the darkness within. People trusted him, even admired him, completely unaware of the secret life he was leading. The man's first known victim was someone he met through chance, someone who trusted him instantly. He watched, studied, and waited for the perfect moment. When it came, he struck with precision, leaving little evidence behind. Afterward, he returned to his apartment and carefully added his trophy to the collection. It became part of a ritual, a private moment of triumph that no one else could ever share. Each subsequent crime followed a similar pattern. He observed, selected, and executed with chilling efficiency. His choice of victims often reflected his psychological needs at the time. Sometimes it was someone who challenged him, someone he wanted to dominate. Other times it was someone vulnerable whose trust he could easily exploit. Over time, his collection grew, and so did his confidence. He began to take greater risks, leaving clues that were subtle but noticeable to those trained to see them. Law enforcement had trouble connecting the dots at first. The murders occurred in different parts of the city with no clear link between them. Yet the man's pattern was consistent, and the trophies he collected were the key to understanding his mind. Forensic experts later realized that the way he preserved and displayed his trophies was methodical. He photographed each victim, kept personal items, and documented the acts in private journals. These were not simply souvenirs. They were symbols of control and mastery over life itself. He felt a sense of superiority, believing that he had outsmarted the entire world, living a double life that no one could penetrate. Friends and acquaintances noticed subtle changes in him. He became more secretive, more withdrawn, and yet more confident. He developed peculiar habits, often disappearing for hours or even days without explanation. He avoided social gatherings, preferring solitude where he could indulge in his dark interests. Those closest to him often sensed that something was off, but they could not pinpoint what it was. His charisma made it difficult for anyone to confront him directly. Law enforcement slowly began to catch on when patterns emerged in missing persons reports and unexplained deaths. Witnesses remembered seeing a man matching his description, and minor inconsistencies in his stories began to pile up. Detectives studying the cases noticed the similarity in the manner of death and the odd presence of personal items left at the scenes. Profilers were called in, trying to understand the mind of someone so meticulous yet so dangerous. They realized that this was not a random killer, but a carefully calculating individual who took pride in each act, who considered murder a craft and each trophy a masterpiece. They warned that such a person would be extremely difficult to apprehend, as he could blend into society while maintaining a secret world of horror. As investigations progressed, the man continued to elude capture. He knew the methods investigators would use and often altered his behavior to stay one step ahead. He chose victims who left little trace and changed locations frequently. He studied crime reports and forensic techniques, learning how to cover his tracks and avoid detection. His obsession with trophies only grew. Each one represented not just a victim, but a symbol of his cleverness and control. He stored them meticulously, treating them as precious artifacts. His apartment became a private museum of horror, a place where he could relive his acts without fear of discovery. Eventually, the net began to close around him. Advances in forensic science, combined with careful observation of his habits, allowed detectives to piece together clues. They studied his past, looking for connections, for any detail that could reveal his identity. They discovered his fascination with collecting and realized that the trophies were the key to understanding the pattern of his crimes. Using careful surveillance, undercover work, and forensic breakthroughs, law enforcement began to narrow down their suspect list. The man, confident in his abilities, did not anticipate the extent to which investigators would study him. His arrogance became a weakness, and small mistakes started to appear. A witness remembered seeing him near a crime scene. A security camera caught a fleeting image, and minute traces of evidence left behind in his apartment started to build a case. It was a combination of luck, persistence, and meticulous detective work that eventually led to his identification. When police finally confronted him, the man was calm, almost as if he had been expecting it. They found his apartment exactly as described, shelves lined with trophies, photographs, and items taken from his victims. It was a chilling glimpse into the mind of someone who saw murder as a game and trophies as proof of his skill. His arrest shocked the community, as many had known him as a polite, quiet man who never seemed capable of such horrors. During interrogation, he was calculated, providing explanations that were both disturbing and revealing. He spoke about the trophies with pride, describing each one as a unique accomplishment. Psychologists later analyzed his behavior and concluded that he suffered from severe psychopathy, showing no remorse for his actions and an extreme fascination with control, power, and dominance. The trial that followed was widely covered in the media. The public was horrified, fascinated, and terrified by the story of a man who lived among them while secretly committing atrocities. Testimonies from survivors, witnesses, and forensic experts painted a picture of a predator who was meticulous, patient, and methodical. The evidence from his apartment, combined with modern forensic science, left little doubt about his guilt. In court, he remained calm and composed, showing no signs of fear or regret. His demeanor further reinforced the idea that he was detached from the morality and emotions that govern ordinary people. Sentencing brought a sense of closure to some, but it also raised questions about human nature and the capacity for evil. How could someone who appeared so ordinary hide such darkness? How many lives had been affected, and how many close calls had gone unnoticed? Psychologists studied his life from childhood to adulthood, searching for the triggers, influences, and personality traits that led to his obsession with collecting trophies. They found that early fascination with control, death, and animals may have escalated into human predation. They examined his relationships, social behaviors, and intellectual abilities to understand how he evaded detection for so long. Experts concluded that a combination of intelligence, charm, patience, and cold calculation allowed him to carry out his crimes undetected. The case became a study for law enforcement and criminal psychology, highlighting the challenges of identifying and apprehending someone who blends seamlessly into society while harboring extreme psychopathic tendencies. Even after imprisonment, the story of the man who collected trophies left a lasting impact. Books, documentaries, and media reports explored his life, crimes, and methods, aiming to educate the public and provide insight into criminal behavior. His victims were remembered, their lives honored in attempts to understand the darkness that had taken them. Law enforcement agencies used his case to develop better profiling techniques, refine forensic methods, and improve community awareness of hidden dangers. The man's story serves as a chilling reminder that evil can exist behind a friendly face, that appearances can be deceiving, and that vigilance and careful observation are essential. The trophies he collected, once a symbol of power and control, became evidence of human vulnerability and the consequences of obsession and unchecked psychopathy. The story also raises philosophical and ethical questions about human nature, morality, and the capacity for cruelty. It challenges society to consider how to detect and prevent hidden threats, how to support vulnerable populations, and how to balance justice with understanding. Over time, people studied not just his actions, but the mindset that made such crimes possible. The psychological lessons from his life became tools for training detectives, psychologists, and the general public. Schools and institutions began using case studies based on his methods to teach risk awareness, behavioral analysis, and the importance of reporting suspicious activity. His life became a grim example of what can happen when fascination with power, control, and possession turns lethal. The man who collected trophies became a symbol of the hidden dangers lurking in ordinary lives. Though he was behind bars, the impact of his crimes remained, a haunting legacy of fear, fascination, and a warning that darkness can wear the mask of normalcy. Families of victims continued to cope with loss, finding strength in awareness and community. The story inspired debates, studies, and preventive measures in criminal psychology and law enforcement. It emphasized the need for vigilance, empathy, and understanding in the face of human unpredictability. His life, crimes, and the subsequent study of his methods will continue to be analyzed for generations, serving as both a warning and a case study in human psychology. The man who collected trophies ultimately serves as a reminder that evil is often hidden in plain sight. What seemed normal, polite, and unassuming could conceal a darkness beyond imagination. His meticulous nature, intelligence, and cold calculation allowed him to commit crimes that left communities shocked and terrified. Each trophy was not just an object, but a chilling representation of human capacity for obsession and cruelty. The lessons learned from his case continue to guide law enforcement, psychologists, and the public, teaching the importance of awareness, careful observation, and the understanding that appearances can deceive. His story, while horrifying, has contributed to knowledge, safety, and preparation against similar dangers. In examining the life and crimes of the man who collected trophies, one gains insight into the complexity of human behavior, the allure of power, and the consequences of obsession. It is a story of darkness hidden behind ordinary life, of meticulous planning, and of a chilling fascination that transformed ordinary objects into symbols of control and fear. Through his life, the world learned both the depth of human cruelty and the power of careful study, preparation, and justice. The man who collected trophies will be remembered not for the life he lived in public, but for the hidden life that revealed the extreme lengths one mind could go to satisfy its dark desires. It is a cautionary tale, a story of psychology, and a chilling reminder that evil can wear the face of normalcy.
Subscribe to Crime Loom and join us as we unravel